Call me Hollywood, because why make something new when I can just make a sequel? Although unlike Hollywood, people actually ask for this. More! Ask, and you shall receive. This video won't be an hour long, but it will cover the most important stuff that I didn't explain in the first video. Special shout out to those of you who pointed out stuff that I missed in the first one. Let's get into more competitive lingo. STAB is an acronym that is so common I often forget some people may not know what it is. STAB stands for Same Type Attack Bonus, which refers to the 50% boost that Pokemon get to attacks that correspond to their type. STAB is a pretty straightforward mechanic, but Terra did muddy the waters a bit. If a Pokemon terastallizes to a new type, it gets 50% stab on moves of its Terra type and of its original typing. If a Pokemon terastallizes to one of its original types, the stab increases to 100% for the Terra type. Adaptability has the same effect. Unfortunately, the seemingly promising combo of terastallizing to one of your original types with adaptability only increases the stab to 125%. What could have been? One fun type of lingo that is thrown around a lot are set names, or names that refer to specific movesets. One of the most well-known ones is E-Killer, which refers to Pokemon that try to set up and sweep with extreme speed. The most notorious E-Killer is Arceus, thanks to its access to Sword Stance, humongous stats, and stab on extreme speed. Other notable users include Dragonite, Lucario, and Lanoon. E-Killer is more prominent than ever since anything can become a normal type in Gen 9. One set name that's more specific is Crocoon. Crocoon originally described a specific Suicune set used in Gen 3 by a player named Chromat. The name is just a portmanteau of Chromat and Suicune. The set itself was Suicune with Rest, Sleep Talk, Surf, and Calm Mind. Nowadays, Crocoon refers to any Rest Talk Suicune set, usually its max HP and defense to be as bulky as possible. Focus Sash, Endeavor, Quick Attack Rattata, aka Fear, is the quintessential cheese set. The name describes a flowchart for how this level 1 Rattata can kill almost anything. First, you take a hit with Focus Sash. On that same turn, you use Endeavor to bring your opponent down to 1 HP. Then, you follow with Priority Quick Attack to deal the final hit point of damage. Fear also refers to other level 1 cheese strats. Common users include Tailo, Aeron, and Magnemite. If you ever Nuzlocke Ultra Sun, just bring Fear to breeze through the otherwise hellish battle that is Ultra Necrozma. Entry hazards, or just hazards, is an ubiquitous term. Hazards refer to Stealth Rock, Spikes, Toxic Spikes, and Sticky Web since all of these moves affect Pokemon on entry. Steel Spikes are also an entry hazard, but these are only available in Gen 8 via Copperajah's signature move G-Max Steel Surge. Entry hazards are among the most powerful moves in singles since singles involve a lot more switching in and out than VGC. As such, hazard removal is very important. From Gens 2 through 5, the only way to remove hazards was with the move Rapid Spin. Rapid Spin was so important that the term Spinner became commonplace to refer to the dedicated Rapid Spin user on a team. In Gen 6, Defog was changed to remove hazards and became the main way to remove hazards since Ghost types can't block it. Later on, Court Change, Mortal Spin, and Tidy Up were also added as additional ways to remove hazards. Entry hazards and hazard removal are a staple dynamic of competitive singles. Team composition is a hugely important aspect of singles, but there are a lot of terms thrown around that can be pretty confusing. The three main team styles are Hyper Offense, Balance, and Stall. Pretty much all other teams can be described somewhere on this spectrum. Hyper Offense is the most fast-paced and offensive team style. The goal of Hyper Offense is to use a dedicated lead to set hazards or screens and then send a barrage of sub-sweepers to blitz through your opponent. Hyper Offense is the main setting of another common term, Suicide Leads. The goal of a Suicide Lead is to set hazards or screens, then die so a sweeper can be brought in safely. A classic example of this is Azelf in Gen 4, which would usually just set Stealth Rocks and then explode. Hyper Offense usually wins or loses very quickly due to lack of defensive measures. It's an all-or-nothing approach to offense. On the other end of the spectrum is Stall, which is a purely defensive team style. The goal of Stall is to have answers for as many offensive threats as possible. Instead of applying offensive pressure, Stall teams aim to outlast opponents by slowly wearing them down in a protracted game. Stall is often used incorrectly as a term. Stall teams are only teams with 6 defensive Pokemon, usually all with healing moves. Just because a few Pokemon healed a few times against you doesn't mean it's Stall. Don't get it twisted. Like Hyper Offense, Stall has a very consistent team structure. Blissey, for example, is a staple of Stall since it answers nearly all special attackers. Unaware Pokemon are also mandatory on Stall since they answer sub-sweepers just by existing. Stall is the ultimate defensive style of play. In the middle and describing most teams is Balance. Balance is the vaguest term since there are a lot of subcategories, but what distinguishes it from other styles is a mix of offense and defense. Balanced teams aim to be adaptable, and are usually the most popular kind of teams in competitive settings because of this. Balanced teams usually operate by using defensive pivots to safely bring in offensive threats. Typically, balance teams will initially apply pressure to wall breakers, and then later use a sub sweeper to clean up a weakened enemy team. However, nothing is set in stone for how balance teams operate or are structured, since it pretty much encompasses everything between hyperoffense and stall. There are several other terms used to describe team composition, but to understand this minutia, you first need to understand hyperoffense, balance, and stall. Alright, I have a few more terms I wanted to explain, so yet again I'm going to do a lightning round. Break out a pen and take Cornell notes. And no, I will not explain Cornell notes since that's not Pokémon. Go! First up is Double Dance, which refers to Pokémon that use multiple setup moves. These don't have to be dance moves. The term just comes from the fact that a lot of setup moves have dance in its name, and it's alliterative. Next up is Item Abbreviation. Some are reduced to their initials, such as EV or CC. Many drop the first word, such as Scarf, Sash, or Helmet. The terms Bolt Beam and Edgequake come from the common attacking combos that not many Pokémon resist. Bolt Beam refers to ice and electric coverage, whereas Edgequake refers to rock and ground coverage. Finally, the term Paraflinch refers to the strategy of stacking paralysis and flinching moves to minimize your opponent's chance of acting. The most evil users are Pokémon with Serene Grace, which after setting up have a 70% chance of preventing the opponent from getting to do anything. Lore-wise, Giratina is the devil in Pokémon, but in reality, it's Jirachi. Alright, that covers it for my second edition of Competitive Lingo. Obviously, there's still endless stuff I could discuss, but this time I feel like I've covered my bases. Thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed it. Now if you don't mind, I have to go play Silk Song. As always, I'll see you next time. Take care.